everyone, and welcome back to the Rebuild SoCal Zone. My name is Carol Church, and I'm your host for this episode. We're very excited to speak with our guest here today. Please welcome the Director of Public Affairs at Brightline West, Greta Seidman. Greta, welcome. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at Brightline West.
Thank you so much, Carol, and it is truly an honor to be a part of the program today. So, in my capacity in public affairs for Brightline West, I handle outreach and engagement, and I really enjoy it. It's been great getting to know the people and organizations and businesses throughout the rail corridor and in Southern California and Southern Nevada that really make it such a vibrant area. And we're really excited to be proceeding with development on. So excited to dig in.
That's great, Greta. And I think, we really felt it was necessary to have this conversation. And what better way to let our listeners know what's happening with this project? Not a lot of people know about it, and many do, but I know that there is a certain sector that doesn't, realize what's happening sometimes within infrastructure. And this is such an exciting project. And for those that travel, to Las Vegas, et cetera, and we all know what that route is, this project is so needed. So without anything further, let's talk about what the Brightline West project is all about.
Absolutely. So, Brightline West is, I like to think of it as a truly transformational project on several levels. So, it is a high speed rail line that's going to reach speeds of up to 200 miles an hour. It's an all electric, zero emission train. So it's one of the greenest forms of transportation in the United States and will be. So it's going to take off about 3 million cars and about 500,000 tons of CO2 from the atmosphere every year. So really helping with those emission reduction goals in both California and Nevada. And I think, the other really exciting thing about it is the connectivity. You had mentioned that, most of us have been either on that drive or on a flight between Los Angeles and Las Vegas before. And, just getting that connectivity piece is going to be so exciting. So the line is going to connect Southern California and Las Vegas through multiple intercity projects. The segment of the line I think most people are familiar with is that connection between Las Vegas and Victor Valley. But we're also pursuing separate independent projects that provide connections into Rancho Cucamonga, as well as Palmdale, which would both provide access to LA Union Station via Metrolink. So our Rancho Cucamonga extension will traverse the Cajon Pass with a station that's adjacent to the existing Metrolink station. And it's part of this envisioned multimodal transportation hub that is truly going to be unlike anything else in the US. And we're really excited to be part of those conversations. And then our Palmdale segment would link in with California High Speed Rail and Metrolink and also be part of a multimodal transportation vision for that area. So altogether, it's just very exciting. And both of those extension projects are avenues that have the potential to reach millions of people every year. And I think we talk a lot about productivity and efficiency when we travel, especially now as, we're beginning to recover from the pandemic. So we're starting to see traffic on the I-15 start to pick back up. And, we know what congestion can be like and the frustration and the issues that causes. It's from an emission standpoint to productivity and honestly just a time and a stress standpoint. And, that traffic between LA and Vegas, if you're on a Thursday or a Friday or a Sunday or a holiday weekend, it's not always the most fun.
Yeah, you're literally leaving a day early or a day late, and you're losing so much time within your vacation or whatever your getaway is because you have to account for all the travel time.
Yeah. And, as recently as this week, we're seeing that I-15 traffic around the California-Nevada state line, it's already exceeding pre-pandemic levels from 2019 and 3 of the full months this year. So the traffic is coming back and it's coming back quick.
Oh my gosh, yes.
We know this is a problem that needs to be addressed, and high-speed rail provides a real viable way to reduce congestion, reduce emissions, create efficiency, and really help people start their travel, whether it's for leisure or for business, really the second they reach that station.
Greta, I almost hate to say high speed rail because I think it has such a negative connotation with some listeners because not everybody has believed in the high speed rail in California. But this is totally different, in my opinion, in terms of who it serves, where you go, and how quick you get there. In looking at Brightline West, what is one of the things or a few things that kind of set this project apart from other high-speed rail projects?
Sure. So we view greater connectivity throughout Southern California and between Southern California and Southern Nevada as a great thing. Our system will work with other transit and transportation networks like California High Speed Rail, which we work closely with on our Palmdale extension, where it will link into in the future. And we work with several other transportation partners. Collectively, it's really important to ensure that people are getting where they need to go as quickly, as safely, and as efficiently as possible. So we're all in it together to make sure that we're doing that. But I think one of the big differentiators is that Brightline is a privately owned company. Privately funded, and we are the first privately owned passenger rail company in a century. And we've done it before, which is also very exciting. Our South Florida line, which is kind of the inaugural system, Brightline, connects Miami to West Palm Beach, and that line is currently expanding into Orlando and is on schedule to be completed next year. In fact, they just had a big event to celebrate that 50% milestone and introduce their vehicle maintenance facility. In that line's first year, it welcomed more than 1 million passengers and has this great following because it's led and we're guided by hospitality professionals. So the experiential component of a Brightline train ride is critical and it's paramount to us, and it's really part of what differentiates us in the travel market. It's hospitality driven. The atmosphere is bright and cheery. We have touchless ticketing. We have, state of the art baggage and handling and station amenities. Our stations and our trains have free fast Wi-Fi, charging stations, food and beverage options, retail. And, the whole point is to start your vacation or your business travel right as you get into that station. So no waiting in traffic, no having to get to the airport 2 hours or more in advance, depending on when you're going. It's streamlined, quick, and efficient, and our team members are friendly. They're very helpful. Our whole system is designed for our customer experience and comfort. And it really, truly is that. Really, the second you walk into one of our stations from the second you leave, it's truly a hospitality kind of experience versus a travel one.
Okay, it makes me want to get on right now. Seriously, because I hate getting into a car than I am just sitting in, and for many different reasons. But what you're sharing and the experience that you're kind of creating for the listeners right now would be something I think everybody would want to try out, And with travel coming back, the timing is good. Let me ask you just a couple things though, in terms of timing. What are we looking at in terms of either the segments of the project or the timeframes of the project to completion, or do we have anything set like that yet?
Sure. So when we acquired the project in 2018, the segment that connects Victor Valley and Las Vegas was already kind of a late stage development. We had the environmental approvals and been given a record of decision from the Federal Railroad Administration already. Kind of since then, we've been advancing design, engineering work, that type of thing, and pursuing those separate extension projects that I mentioned earlier that really will give passengers further connectivity into Southern California, and really kind of working on outreach and getting those projects advanced. We've made tremendous progress in an effort to put a shovel in the ground as soon as possible. And Brightline, having done this before, we truly believe in the end game of connecting these city pairs between 200 and 300 miles that kind of fall in that, too far to comfortably drive and maybe too close to fly, and really excited to kind of bring that vision to the West Coast. All in all, the construction process is about 3 years, and then there is testing that needs to be conducted as well. While we are a few years away, there's definitely a lot that's going to be happening that people can stay plugged in and engaged about throughout the process.
It sounds, given the time frame that you're talking about, it would definitely be up and running and people using by the time the Olympics are here in LA.
Indeed.
Yes, so I can see how this could be a big part of the experience when people come to Southern California, whether you live here or you're visiting here, and being able to see some of the other areas that, like you said, might be a little bit farther to drive and too short to fly. So, you're going to get that in between. And with the connectivity, would you see the connectivity with Metrolink also? I guess this was probably the big push, maybe to have this done so that people could from LA connect to get to Vegas and have that experience as well.
Sure. Yeah. So And it's similar with our Florida system as well. So we work very collaboratively with other transportation and transit systems because we realize when you get off of a train in LA or Rancho Cucamonga or Palmdale or Las Vegas, that train station is not your final destination. So ensuring that last mile connectivity or that last stretch of connectivity is easy to get to and efficient and generally something that's easier than what we're doing now. That's really important to us. So that last mile connectivity piece and making sure that we're collaborating with other, public and private transportation companies, cities, municipalities, regional stakeholders to make sure that that piece of it is seamless is a really big part of what we're doing. So absolutely.
Well, the timing couldn't be better as we talk about what's happening in the future here. One of the things I've had an opportunity to see some of the infographics, et cetera, and be able to see your website. And I was just curious to know, as you talked about the traveling experience and the touch lists and all of the different hospitality amenities, et cetera, what might be on some people's mind too is how does security work, or is that factored out yet, or is that something that's coming?
Sure. So we absolutely will have security protocols for both in stations and on board. We have a phenomenal safety team comprised of former first responders and experts in the field who work hand in hand with local first responders on everything from emergency crossover bridges during construction to what happens, on board or in station for, things that we need to plan for but hope never happen. So that piece of it is always very big as we start planning and development. But we have a team both in Florida and part of our planning efforts here on the West Coast to involve what security will look like, security protocols, procedures, both in station for screenings and as well as on board.
That's important. And I think, when you think about traveling in a new arena and a new way, that, you're bringing your luggage on board, or you're, depending on where you're going and what you're doing. So having that extra little portion of knowing you're safe, whether you're getting on a plane or you're getting on a train. So happy to know. I assume that you had everything in place, but I think it was important to talk about and to, really discover together with the listeners how exciting this ride's gonna be. I'm very excited to try it out when it's here. I know it's something that I will use personally, but to be able to be from LA and get to Las Vegas and not be in a car, because there's really only one direction to get there. You're either in a car or in a plane, and that's about it. So I'm excited about this. And I wanted to also just, as we start to see this project as a reality, and it's happening, and we're gonna have it here, can we talk a little bit about the job creation coming out of this project, and a little bit more about the construction phases?
Absolutely. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. So the job creation on this project is significant. It's a big infrastructure project. We're laying down, hundreds of miles of new track. And this is all going to come together, in about 3 years. So, throughout construction, we're expecting to create about 40,000 construction jobs throughout the corridor and about 1,000 permanent jobs. So those permanent jobs include, track and train maintenance, hospitality roles in our station and onboard trains, management, security. It's a really exciting job creation and economic development prospect. The project all in all is going to create about 9 billion in economic impact and about a billion in tax revenue. So it is, it's the benefit to one of those large infrastructure projects is the impact it has on local economies and on job creation. And we plan on, working collaboratively to spread the word about hiring, contracting, and other engagement opportunities with local stakeholders, in Southern California and in Nevada, on a local, regional, and statewide level. It's really important to us.
Honestly, Greta, this is so exciting to talk about, and I'm glad that you love the construction part, because that's obviously where we're at, and we're very fortunate to have this project in our backyard. One question: when we talked about the last mile and the connectivity, what's happening from the Vegas side? Like, where is that, where it starts and stops from in Nevada, or is there going to be other plans for a connective, into Las Vegas from other places other than California?
Sure. So Our station in Las Vegas is going to be on the south side of Las Vegas Boulevard. It will have a Las Vegas Boulevard address. So it'll be right between the I-15 and Blue Diamond and Warm Springs roads.
Mhm.
Um, and that's our only station in Vegas. So, if you're coming from Vegas to Southern California, you'll go Vegas, and then that connects directly with our station in the Victor Valley, which will be at I-15 and Dale Evans Parkway in Apple Valley.
Mhm.
And then from there, the two extension projects that I mentioned earlier, one in Rancho Cucamonga, and then Palmdale, which lead into connectivity into LA and Union Station.
Okay, great. I was just curious to see if there was, any plans at this point, any other areas of destination, but I think just getting this one will be moving enough
Yeah, we
people.
have our hands full right now.
Yeah, exactly. But it's always, that's the next question that comes up. Well, this is so cool. When are we going to get it over here? Or when could this happen over here? So anyway, thank you for answering that question. Which really, let's talk a little bit about the actual development of what's happening in Apple Valley and the Victor Valley area. What's happening and the thoughts of the community there and the people that reside in that community, and they're embracing this project, I assume.
We're very fortunate. We continue to work closely with communities throughout the corridor. And one of the joys of my role is getting to interact with different stakeholders throughout those communities. And Apple Valley and the communities in the Victor Valley have been extremely supportive, as have our local, regional, and statewide organizations, entities, and elected officials. We've seen support from a job creation side, from an environmental side with our emission reductions, the economic activity of the station development and the land around it. Our station in the Victor Valley has about 300 acres in that. And part of what Brightline has done in Florida is really spur that kind of transit oriented development that really connects people with transportation and jobs and homes and residential and commercial space. Our Miami Central station has kind of all of those components, and our station has one of them has a 40,000 square foot food hall in it, which I very selfishly hope that they do decide to do out here. And those things spur additional growth and employment equity, and they really add value through that economic activity, connections to other transportation networks. When you think about all the opportunities that are wrapped up in the development of a station and a transportation hub like that, it's really exciting. And we're very fortunate to have as much support as we do, and have the communities be on board. No pun intended.
I love it. Well, I can only imagine, and I think that this might be just what the community needs. But the job growth and the job opportunities for both those that live there or those traveling into Vegas. I mean, I'm thinking about those residents that probably already are traveling a couple hours possibly to their jobs can now get there. And what would it be? Did you say 80 minutes? I think you said 80 minutes.
Yeah, so between Victor Valley and Vegas is 85 minutes, and LA to Vegas is about 3 hours. So you're basically having your trip time
Yes,
from drive.
yes. And I guess the other thing is because if I remember, many of those in Victor Valley and Victorville do work in Las Vegas. I think a large percentage of that community already is making that commute. I had heard almost at 30%. I don't know if that number's right or not, but I did know that it was a large percentage of those that do travel to Las Vegas for employment. So maybe even just having the job creation there locally, but also the opportunity and the ability to spend more time with their family since they won't be necessarily traveling in a car, or at least you have an option. You know, I
Exactly.
I think it's about the options.
It's the alternative, and having those different options at that point is going to be a game changer. I mean, if you're working and you can spend 85 minutes hooked up to your laptop, that's an hour and a half that you get back. Or if you were in your car and you were stuck in traffic, how much time would you have lost? So I think the opportunity to kind of make up time and have that alternative and that option is also really exciting. And as someone who makes that trip quite often, I mean, I'm excited.
Absolutely, on so many levels, because now with the Las Vegas Raiders, et cetera, that stadium and the pull that it will have now post COVID, or I would say opening up as we see the communities open up, will have a big factor in terms of people that maybe want to attend, haven't attended, whatever. I think that pull right there is enough to even make this a bigger game changer. I guess it was a better way of saying that.
No, it's really exciting, and we get questions from folks quite a bit on if we're going to have trains to games, and how we're going to handle our big sporting events like the Olympics and like Raiders games and hockey season. So I think there's a lot of excitement, and people are thinking about what opportunities are opening up for them now and in the next couple of years as a result of it, which is great. I mean, we're really excited about that.
And really, that's the outcome that you're looking for. That's the whole purpose of this project. And I think also there's a couple things that you just mentioned that I wanted to talk about. One is, so you're looking at an 80-minute ride, possibly, right? What's it like inside the actual cabin? Like, what could you experience in there? What does it remind you of? And I'm going to encourage people to go to your website and do some other things later. But I thought, let's talk about a visual, like what it would be like. What does it look like?
Sure. So when you board a Brightline train, you have a seat with plenty of leg room. You can open up your phone, open up your laptop, and have instant access to free and fast Wi Fi. There are food and beverage options throughout the journey. So it's truly a first class experience all the way. The trains themselves are bright and cheery. If you have ever seen one of our Brightline trains, they've got bright colors, and they're very clean and very modern and very sleek, and kind of have something built in for every type of traveler. So if you're a solo traveler, you can post up with a laptop or book. If you're with family, there's options for you to kind of gather a little bit more. But it really does have something for everyone, and really kind of banks on that hospitality experience.
I'm trying to just think about my first time when I was on a plane, right? What my experience was like when, where does my luggage go? Why is the, flight attendant standing there and not there? That whole kind of the first time you do anything, when you've got so much going on. And I think, when you come and you get your ticket, what seat, it's assigned seating, I assume, and that you are going to then put your things away. What happens at that point? At what point do you know where you're leaving? Does the conductor come on, or
And I think that experience is going to develop as we move forward. But we have we much like other transportation forms, we have options to check your
Mhm.
bags or carry them on. We have staff on board, so if you have any questions, or if you have an issue finding your seat, and we're planning on having both kind of more of an open seating and an assigned seating option, so lots of different ways to kind
Great.
of tailor your experience. But we also recognize that this is by and large a very new form of travel for some of our guests, so we'll definitely make sure that when we get going, there's a lot of very friendly, helpful people around for all levels of folks who haven't been on a train before. Or maybe it's been a little bit, and on the high speed side, it really is it's a new thing and a new experience for everyone. So we'll definitely be keeping that in mind.
And I ask these silly questions only because it's like I want to know. Like I'm already so excited. I want to have this experience, and I know it'll come because I'll be there in 3 years. But same time, I think, if you can get people excited about getting out of their car and into a different mode of transportation, and then enjoy the process and look forward to the process, that's what it's about. It starts your vacation, it starts your trip, no matter if you're going to work, or you're, going to Vegas for the weekend or what have you. I think that it starts the whole process, and it's such a wonderful thing to know that it sounds like to me that this is all about the experience for the traveler, and that everything is built around that for this experience.
It absolutely is. It's really all about our guests, all about our passengers, and getting them quickly, efficiently, and having fun at the same time. wherever they're going.
Well, Greta, it couldn't be better said. I appreciate so much of your time today. I want to also, can you maybe give us your website on the program today so that those that want to maybe check it out and see what's happening and follow you guys?
Absolutely. So there are a lot of ways to get a hold of us. So if you have questions or ideas or suggestions, we want to make sure it's easy to get a hold of us. So our construction website is brightlinewestconstruction.com, and we'll be posting updates and photos, and as things get moving, construction updates, everything like that. Will be kind of in on that website as a central repository. So Brightline West is also on social media. We have a Facebook, Twitter, and a LinkedIn account. So that's a great way to stay ahead with us. And then we also have an outreach email that we field questions on everything from what kind of rail ties we'll be using and very technical questions to whether or not Elvis is going to be on the train. We get that one quite a bit, actually.
Really?
Oh, we do. And that is outreach at brightlinewest.com. So we encourage you, if you have questions or ideas, please reach out to us. We are happy to engage and hear from you.
Greta, thank you so much for this episode and all the great information. And we're excited at Rebuild to be able to highlight this project, and we'll continue to help educate the public on how exciting and what this experience is going to be like. And I really appreciate your time today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure to be here.
Take care.
Thank you.
That concludes today's episode of the Rebuild SoCal Zone. Thank you for listening, and a huge thank you to Greta Seidman for chatting with us. Make sure to subscribe to us on all of our channels so you can tune in again next month with another great guest. Take care, everyone.